Look, Biden and his son are stone cold crooked, and you know it. His son walks out with millions of dollars. The kid knows nothing. You know it, and so do we.
Allow me to channel my inner Sam Kinison. Oh, oh, ah! President Trump is the president we have been waiting for. You talk about somebody that's willing to stand up, somebody that's willing to fight the good fight. I give you Donald J. Trump, POTUS 45. Absolutely, there is not another president in either party who would ever stand up, speak out, not be pushed, not be intimidated, not play the political game. First of all, he absolutely will not play it with the press.
Are you talking to me?
Yeah, it was just a follow-up of what I just asked you, sir.
Listen, you ready? We have the president of Finland. Ask him a question.
I have one for him. I just wanted to follow up on the one that I asked you, which
Did
was,
you hear
what
me?
did you want
Did you
him
hear
to
me?
Yes,
Ask
sir.
him a question.
I will, but
I've given you a long answer. Ask this gentleman a question. Don't be rude.
No, sir, I don't want to be rude. I just wanted you to have a chance to answer the question that I asked
I've
you.
answered everything. It's a whole hoax. And you know who's playing into the hoax? People like you and the fake news media that we have in this country. And I say in many cases, the corrupt media, because you're corrupt. Much of the media in this country is not just fake, it's corrupt. And you have some very fine people, too. Great journalists, great reporters. But to a large extent, it's corrupt and it's fake.
He didn't just call them fake news. He called them corrupt news. And basically, like talking to a child, ask your question and sit down. Oh, wait, you've already asked 2 questions. Sit down. By the way, did you see in the clip there, Jim Acosta sitting there, keeping his mouth shut? Maybe Jimmy has learned something. The president has absolutely had it with this entire Ukraine hoax. Now, remember when he was first elected and the entire Russian collusion hogwash, and even a lot of Republicans at that time were waffling and hedging their bets that, well, maybe he really did collude with Russia, and they didn't really come out and support him. And Paul Ryan and even Mitch McConnell at that time were kind of speaking in code, and we didn't know where everybody stood. And the president, yes, frustrated with Jeff Sessions, yes, wanted Bob Mueller fired. But he let it play out, and it dragged out and took 2 years of his life, his legacy, and his presidency. And he has basically said, no more. Not this time. And he is constantly going on offense. He called the former vice president a stone-cold criminal. Boom! That's even bigger than when he was running for the presidency and he was referring to Hillary Rodham Clinton as Crooked Hillary. He is calling the former VP, current presidential candidate, Joe Biden, stone-cold criminal, which means he's also by de facto saying the Obama administration was stone-cold criminal. Can you imagine a George Bush saying that? No. A Mitt Romney? A John McCain? No, they wouldn't. This has been the type of Republican leadership we have needed, and now we've got, and even some Republicans don't know what to do. They don't know what to say because President Trump doesn't fit the narrative. And of course, this goes to the, he's unhinged, he's not presidential. He gets results, he gets things done. And I'm going to use a biblical concept here for a time such as this. Queen Esther, it was said of her reign for a time such as this. President Trump is here for a time such as this. Can you think of anyone else who would stand up to the swamp like this? Can you think of any other president that would have been able to withstand witch hunts and these hoaxes and this 24/7 vast majority news cycle from everybody against him. And even faux pas news, formerly known as Fox News, is half the time wiffle-waffling on him. And yet, the Democrats have got to be going out of their mind today over the fact that his poll numbers continue to tick up. And as much as they keep trying to create this narrative that the impeachment is gaining steam and the American people are for it, no. In fact, 45% of Americans believe Joe Biden and his son were engaged in criminal activity. And that means it's time to really look into that, which is what he wanted the president of Ukraine to do. Look into this. But of course, we have the media spinning it a different way. And we have Adam Schiff for brains, why he was the first one to read the whistleblower's complaint, even before it was made available, which means he had it before anybody should have had it. And even the New York Times is now having to report there's something funny about that. And it's funny how the complaint has also changed. See, once it finally came out, there were a lot of constitutional experts saying, well, this doesn't rise to the classification of whistleblower because this individual doesn't have a first-hand account. Because on the complaint, it was listed as hearsay. And then magically, a new complaint appears that has the box first-hand knowledge checked off. Many people now believe, even in the liberal media, that Adam Schiff had something to do with the original writing and even the rewrite. And how does the president act? He refers to Adam Schiff for brains exactly what he is.
Unless you heard the Adam Schiff version where he made up my conversation. He actually made it up. It should be criminal. It should be treasonous. He made it up, every word of it, made up, and read to Congress as though I said it. And I'll tell you what, he should be forced to resign from Congress. Adam Schiff, he's a lowlife. He should be forced to resign.
Do you know why the Democrats are screaming so loud right now? And now they're coming after Attorney General Barr. Well, Barr's over in Europe. And he's gathering information. He's gathering evidence. See, the deep state has now come to the conclusion they can't stop the truth from coming out. So what they're going to try to do is discredit anyone that brings the truth to light. They're going to try to give you an overload of disinformation because they cannot stop the factual information from coming out. I like how some members of the Republican Party are now demanding that all the transcripts of Barack Obama's phone calls be released. If we're gonna judge what the president says to foreign leaders, well, let's find out what Barack Obama was saying to foreign leaders. What kind of muscling, shakedown, and blackmail was going on there? The president was within his constitutional given authority to say, look, as the commander-in-chief, as the chief executive officer, as the chief law enforcement officer, I can't have people that represent the United States, i.e. Joe Biden, vice president, acting in a corrupt manner with other nations.
Well, I would think that if they were honest about it, they'd start a major investigation into the Bidens. It's a very simple answer. They should investigate the Bidens, because how does a company that's newly formed, and all these companies, if you look at, and by the way, likewise, China should start an investigation into the Bidens, because what happened in China is just about as bad as what happened with Ukraine. So I would say that President Zelensky, if it were me, I would recommend that they start an investigation into the Bidens, because nobody has any doubt that they weren't crooked. That was a crooked deal, 100%. He had no knowledge of energy, didn't know the first thing about it. All of a sudden, he's getting $50,000 a month, plus a lot of other things. Nobody has any doubt. And they got rid of a prosecutor who was a very tough prosecutor. They got rid of him. Now they're trying to make it the opposite way, but they got rid. So if I were the president, I would certainly recommend that of Ukraine.
For so long, so many of us were so sick and tired of watching Republicans constantly roll over, play dead, and never fight back. And along comes Donald Trump. He has not only laid out the map work, how you do this, but now there are people within the Trump administration and former individuals from the Trump administration, when they go before Congress and taking a lead from their president, they just ain't having this circus anymore. They're not having this carnival anymore. Case in point, ex-ICE director Tom Homan was brought before members of the House of Representatives, and he wanted to set the record straight that if you're going to keep going after President Trump on putting kids in cages and the way the detention facilities are run and what they look like and how they house people, all of that started under the Obama administration, and none of you did a thing. You didn't have any inquiries. You didn't have any hearings on the matter. You didn't go after him viscerally in the media day in and day out because Barack Obama did it. It was perfectly okay.
Is there anything you'd like to respond to what you've heard today?
Yeah, I'd like to respond to Acting Chairman Jay Paul and your comment about the Trump administration moving money around for more detention beds. I'd like to remind you, under the Obama administration, we did that most of the years he was president. We moved money around. DHS is called reprogramming. We did that under the Obama administration. I don't remember any hearings on that. And also, I'd like to remind you that under the Obama administration, I mean, you're quick to point out that the cages were built under the Obama administration. I was there. Family detention, we had 100 family beds under the Obama administration. We built 3,000 more. So when there was a surge in FY14 and FY15 on the border, Congress was quick to give all the money we needed to build detention facilities, get transportation contracts. We reprogrammed money out of the majority of the years he was president. That was fine. Under Obama administration, FY12, we removed 409,000 people, half of what was removed last year. There was no hearings on that. So this is about transparency. Let's be factual about it.
And of course, some congressperson that we had never heard of, well, she decided she's had to set Mr. Homan straight. And boy, did he set her straight.
Since you did address some comments at me, I'll just say that I didn't like it under the Obama administration either. In fact,
well, be honest with the American people. You can't point out faults in the Trump administration when it happened under the Obama administration. That's dishonesty. It's pathetic and it's sad.
Mr. Homan, I control the time, and I am the chairwoman of the committee. Thank you for respecting that. I didn't like it under the Obama administration, and I'll remind you, Mr. Homan, that you also testified before Congress in support of the Obama's Priorities Enforcement Program before the Senate Judiciary Committee on May 19th, 2016, which had a very different approach.
Well, can I respond to that? Can I respond to that?
No.
Of course not. Look, you want to know why there's 50,000 people in detention? You want to know why we have 1 million illegal entries in the United States? You want to know why we have these issues? Because you have failed to secure the border. You have failed to work with this president to close the 3 loopholes we've asked for 2 years to close. So if you want to know why this issue exists, you need to look in the mirror. You have failed American people for not securing the border and closing loopholes.
Mr. Homan, please respect the chair and the authority of the chair. The time of the gentleman has expired.
I've asked you politely to let me go beyond my time, and you let other people go beyond their time, but not to Tom Homan. He don't get me go beyond his time.
Mr. Homan, we have approved an agreement between the Republicans and the Democrats with the ranking member. We increased the time of one member of Congress who was interrupted by a protest. That is done with the approval of the ranking member. Please respect the chair's authority.
I respect the chair's authority, but the chair...
Mr. Homan!
You work for me. I'm a taxpayer. I'm a taxpayer. You work for me.
I absolutely wanted to jump through the TV and give him a high five. Yes! This is how it's done. And can anyone ever forget the total Capitol Hill takedown by Corey Lewandowski?
Okay, and which paragraph, sir?
I don't have it in front of me.
I'd like a reference, sir, so I can follow along on what you're asking.
Do you not have an independent recollection of whether you met with the president on that date?
Congressman, I'm just trying to find in the Mueller report where it states that.
Well, you have it in front of you. I gave you the page number.
Okay, where on page 90 is it, sir?
Mr. Chairman, you got to start the clock.
No, I don't have to start the clock when he's filibustering. Bottom of page 90.
Filibustering is a different issue. That's across the hall in the Senate. This is actual questions being done now.
Mr. Chairman, point of parliamentary inquiry, Mr. Chairman.
That's not
The gentleman will state his point of parliamentary inquiry.
Mr. Chairman, is it appropriate for a witness to refuse to answer a question and instead demand that we reference and point him to I'd ask that Mueller report be closed and the witness be directed to answer the question.
No, well, the answer is not appropriate, but it's on the bottom 2 lines of that page.
Now it can start. The clock can start now. There's a question.
Point of order. When will the clock start, Mr. Chairman?
Once the question's asked, Mr. Chairman, the clock should start.
Right under overview, second line.
Parliamentary inquiry, Mr. Chairman.
The gentleman, the witness.
Point of order.
The witness has the time and will
Point of
answer.
order is
question. The witness
point of order
will answer
overrides
the question.
that. A point of order overrides that, Mr. Chairman, and you know that.
The gentleman will state his point of order.
Point of order is once the question has been asked and referenced properly to the witness to answer the question, the clock should start. It cannot be held while you and your counsel go over notes.
The gentleman is correct. The clock will start. And the witness will answer the question without further delay.
Yes, I see that in the report. I recognize that the privilege is not mine, but I've been asked by the White House to... Congressman, I'd be happy to answer your question, or you can just have a conversation by yourself. But if you'd like to ask me a question, I'll be happy to answer.
I'm going to continue. The reason is
well, then don't ask me a question if you don't want to hear my answer.
I'm reclaiming my time. This is a House judiciary, not a House party.
So if you ask me a question, give me the opportunity to answer your question.
The very campaign the special counsel is investigating, I'd like my time restored, please, of his interruption. He called you in to do his dirty work in secret because he knew it was wrong. Well, we will expose the truth. The president cannot hide behind you any longer. And you should be here to be telling the truth,
The gentlelady's
because the truth will set you free and the American people. I yield back.
The time of the gentlelady has expired. The witness may answer the question.
I don't believe there was a question, Congressman.
Very well.
Yes, there was.
Could you repeat the question? I didn't hear it.
I'll be happy to repeat the
It's just
question.
a rant.
You can't repeat the question.
I'll be happy to repeat the question.
Gentlelady's time has expired.
You felt kind of squeamish, like that fish that you are trying to be right now, being scaled. You felt a little squeamish about delivering that message, correct?
No, sir.
Well, why didn't you? Why did it take you so long and you never even delivered it?
Correct. I never delivered the message.
Yeah, you chickened out.
I went on vacation.
You went on vacation. And so you put the message in the safe, in your home for safekeeping, correct? Before you went on vacation.
I took my kids to the beach, Congressman. That was more of a priority.
And President Trump was hounding you about when are you going to deliver that message, correct?
Completely inaccurate, Congressman.
Well, he asked you about it a few times, didn't he?
No, he did not.
Have you ever put any words that the president asked you to write down before in a safe? Or was this the first time you'd done that?
I believe it's my standard operating procedure when taking notes, Congressman.
So every note that you take of the president, you put in a safe? How big is that safe?
It's a big safe, Congressman. There's a lot of guns in there.
Mr. Lewandowski, I'm going to put a slide up, and it's the words that President Trump dictated to you on July 19. Can you read what you wrote down?
I'm happy to have you read it, Congressman.
Well, why don't you want to read it, Mr. Lewandowski?
I think you should afford me the same privilege you afforded Director Mueller.
Would you like to read it?
No, you're welcome to read it.
Are you ashamed of the words that you wrote down?
President Swalwell, I'm very happy of what I've written, but you're welcome to read it if you'd like.
Are you ashamed to read it out loud?
I'm not ashamed of anything in my life, Congressman. Are you?
Then why don't you read the words?
Congressman, I've asked and answered your
Mr.
question.
Lewandowski, why won't you read the words aloud?
I've asked and answered your question, Congressman. If you'd like to read the words, you're welcome to.
Well, you were ashamed to read them out loud, and you didn't deliver those words to the person the president asked you to. Did you have a consciousness of guilt?
I have nothing to be guilty of, Congressman. Thank you.
You still feel guilty today, and that's why you can't read it out loud?
Congressman, you're welcome to read the words if you'd like.
Well, I just wonder why you can't.
I have the capacity to, Congressman. I'll give you the privilege.
You said the president did nothing wrong. Why can't you read those words right now? Why can't you read them aloud?
Congressman, tell me why you hold me to a different standard than the previous witnesses who sat here.
You know what the Democrats have to be worried about right now? This has so emboldened real conservatives real, let's put America first, let's fix America. They have become so inspired by President Trump. There are members of Team Trump that are hoping to be subpoenaed. Sebastian Gorka is hoping to be subpoenaed. I am sure there are members of the conservative media hoping to get subpoenaed over their so-called disinformation and hate speech on social media platforms and on the air and online. I would love to be subpoenaed. Please, 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 please. Adam Schiff for Brains, please call me. Please, please, please. I think this would be absolutely awesome. Because at the end of the day, the American people see this. It's obvious from the evidence presented. Biden and his son were doing a Ukraine shakedown. And the president asking the president of Ukraine to simply investigate it and look into it is not an impeachable offense. And for Donna Brazil over there at Faux Pas News, formerly known as Fox News, to say a president can't do anything that personally benefits himself, especially against a political rival, that is impeachable. So let me get this straight. As long as somebody is corrupt, if they keep running for office, you can't talk about what they might have done in their corruption in a foreign entity because they're running for office and that makes them a potential rival, a potential opponent. So then I guess by that logic, the way Joe Biden keeps from ever facing the music is to just keep what? Running for office perpetually into infinity and beyond? Are you kidding me? Give me a break. Thank God for President Donald J. Trump for a time such as this. Well, that's it for this rant. Hey, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you're a subscriber to the channel. Smack the bell so that you get notification of all of my rants. And please, I'm serious about this. YouTube is messing again. I've had people tell me they checked their subscription to this channel and they were unsubscribed. I didn't do that. YouTube did. Please check your subscription. Make sure you are still a subscriber. Thank you.